Hello and welcome to game number 2 in the Telecom War between KT and T1 in the LCK Summer Split of 2021. So far, T1 has managed to get the first win on the back of a good draft and very good team play. On top of that, with a difficult comp, or a comp that they are very accustomed to losing, that is. At least this summer split, T1 really had issues with poke comps and long range. Now they drafted one for themselves. Faker increasing the win rate on his TF, over 80% at the moment, and Teddy finally getting his hands on Twisted on the Ezreal. So now we know why this champion is often banned against him. So will KT now draft better, find engage against a poke comp, or will we see something completely different? So far, KT continuing with banning the Kalista against Teddy, completely understandable. As I mentioned in the first part, it is a champion that you can't really give to the general in the bot lane. Also the Akali being banned on their own side, so they don't want T1 to pick it from themselves. In the first game, Dove played it, had some good moments, but wasn't enough to make a difference in the long run. T1 banning the Lee Sin on the red side makes more sense than the Lee Sin ban on the blue side they had in the first game. But next to the Lee Sin is also the Ezreal ban, so that's something where they say, yes, we would like to play that, but we don't believe that we can get the Ezreal, so we ban it out. We don't want KT to first pick that one. KT rounds up their bans with the Nocturne, something they banned in the first game. In the second half, against Faker mainly, who is the dominant Nocturne player on the T1 roster. T1 rounding up their last ban with this Xin Zhao. Also something they've banned in the first half in game number 1. It is a decent champion, it has some strengths, some weaknesses of course, but Blank has played it a bit more than others. So taking a bit of comfort away from him. That's that. A few champions are coming through this ban phase because of the changes. Obviously, one of them is the set that is immediately being picked up by KT. Obviously can go into a multitude of positions, so we can't really pinpoint who will play this champion yet. T1 on the other side pick up the Rumble again for Cuz. Still Rumble, best jungler in the game. No questions asked. Diana has her moments and can fit into some niche positions, and especially with the set, there's the potential for a neat wombo combo team fight, fun adventure, but still in most cases the Rumble is just super strong, and being paired up with the red side Varus is something I talked about in game number 1 as well. Red side Varus obviously making use of the terrain way better than on the blue side, really being able to defend certain key points in the jungle. And overall, even if we ignore all of that, Varus is super strong. Give Teddy something that is super strong, that is great. Also, we see the Jinx here being locked in for Noah and Harp obviously being washed away in the bot lane. Wasn't really able to build an arc or anything, Noah that is. So here he has the Jinx a bit more scaling. Now with Set and Diana, he has some engage for him to create maybe some space for him to free fire into T1. The bot lane matchup, Jinx versus Varus, obviously not that great, but we have to look at the support matchup first before we can really evaluate that in all its details. We see the Tahm Kench pick here for Carrion. So Carrion with the Karma really popping off, showed why it is banned so often in the LCK, and has such a huge presence globally. Nearly 100% kill participation, and really spoon fed his teammates the kills from Cuz, and obviously for Teddy as well, starting with the first blood in the bot lane on level 2. Now he has the Tahm Kench, a bit more of a defensive champion, but that's also something that you would expect the Karma to be. So here we might see some carry Tahm Kench, who is eating good. Knows. Obviously, the Tahm Kench is the standard duo partner of the Varus, enabling him to play way forward and do way more damage than he usually should with a standard tank support like a Leona or an Alistair. Let's take a look at the bans that are happening at the moment. For the second half, we see on T1 side banning away the Thresh, which is nearly must ban if Jinx is being locked in. It is just a pick that is enabling her way too much. Also the Braum, which has creeped up in the standings of support rankings with Tamkench and Thresh being the top supports for these hyper carries. Braum usually comes in and does a decent job, obviously not really offering the mobility and protection that the Tamkench Devour and the Thresh Lantern have, but with his passive and the way his entire kit operates, he obviously helps with disengaging and peeling for a carry quite effectively. KT on their side, again in the second half, are banning the Renekton away from Faker, away from Kana, and obviously we see that the Azir is also gone. I am not sure about the exact win rate at the moment for Faker. I think it might be around 77% or something along these lines, but obviously a very, very powerful pick for him, his most played champion, and he's certainly also very skilled at it. Yes, he got a loss this split already, which is sad, but still a very powerful pick. Would offer with the ultimate some disengage here against the engage that KT is looking forward with the set Diana and now the Rel. So looking for a very explosive comp instead of something that is really protecting the Jinx more so. On T1 side, the illusion has come through, right? It is a pick that is also being banned quite often, just like the Varus, just like the set. It is a powerful pick, especially in the hand of the likes of T1. You can't even say who is going to play it. Is it Faker, who completely destroyed the kits years ago, right? There are games some of you won't probably remember, but his Lucian versus Talia, completely dumbstring and really making the road to the popularity that is the mid lane Lucian at the moment. Very famously against Crowned Talia, I think. And now we know it is going to be Kana's Lucian, which is still quite nice. And he goes back to the Twisted Fate, now probably like 81-82% win rate. I think he has only lost 3 times on the pick, so that's something. Here, his pick potential with the Varus and his own gold card can be very nice against the Jinx that doesn't have any hard protection, right? As I mentioned, no Braum, no Thresh, no Tamkench. She's free food if we get there. Also, just mentioning shortly here, there's the Jace being locked in for KT as well. So this means that Jace and Set can be flexed here in either the mid lane or the top lane. We can't even really say who is going to face who. Probably the Jace in top, that is the most standard position for the champion. But Jace against Lucian, that's going to be an explosive matchup up top. Both AP junglers, so AP AD mix for the top lane matchups as well. In the mid lane, Diana Set have that advantage against the Twisted Fate. Not really sure it will come to skirmishes there, even though in game number 1 Faker was actually part of the team. Usually Faker playing a bit more solo, really having the lowest skill participation of all the mid laners in the entire LCK. You would assume that is a weakness of his. But the team in the statistic is still doing fine, and he is number 1 in terms of gold difference. So he is getting his leads on his own, and his team is doing their stuff on its own. Now in the first game, we saw Gus, Carrier all coming mid, helping the Twisted Fate accelerate even more in his matchup against the Akali, so that he then later on could make more plays with his ultimate. So we're going to look for a similar thing in this game here as well, with Carrier obviously also having a global ult just like Faker, but he this time needs to be a bit more protective of the Varus instead of having the Ezreal, who's obviously way more independent as an AD carry than the Varus is. But still, Faker here has a bit of passive help because he has many threats in his team. So in the first game, yes, he also had a Jace top. He also had this very explosive bot lane but this time he has a Lucian top and a Varus bot. They're even more explosive than before. So even though Blank might want to attack Faker, maybe they're doing it, maybe they're even getting kills onto him. You know T1 has other lanes that are exploding in leads. Unless, obviously, they're misplaying, right? Unless they get womboed by Rel and bot. Unless, Kana gets hammer timed by Jace. Which we don't expect based on the player level performance and on the usual level how these champions interact. So, who has the draft edge? Who really is on top? This is, again, KT with a similar comp, right? Brawlery, bruiser champions with scaling AD carry. Very fine, very fine. T1 again, very carry, very damage orientated. Again, also managing to have AD and AP mixes very nicely. We have AD carry top and mid and bot, and then mid and jungle with the AP damage. So still that is also very nicely that they are managing to fit that into their comp. So T1's comp again having more range than the comp of the KT Rosters, but the thing is, this time the range is not as long and not as explosive or like as consistent as like Ezreal poke, for example. Still, it is there. They've now gotten a bit more pick potential in comparison to game number 1, and with the Tahm Kench they have gotten a bit of frontline. They don't really want him in the frontline, obviously they want him as a protector for their backline, and they're also missing now on the Karma shields and the Karma movement speed, as well as the Jace E for also movement speed. So there are some changes here that make their team comp a bit more vulnerable. They have a Tahm Kench with W, they have a top laner with a dash. This is the trade-off they got, so that's something. Still their comp quite hard to execute, of course, especially considering that Lucian really needs to get rolling, otherwise this will be a 4 versus 5, and Lucian sadly still has a very short range AD carry. So while it might be a bit in T1's favor, considering the player levels, considering the power of their champions, KT with their dive and their more and newfound engage options have the way to get back and equalize the series. Obviously, as a T1 fan, I don't hope and I don't think that will happen, but who am I to tell you that what is going to happen? I have also to watch the series, this game now, but if it should come to a game number 3, you know where to find the draft review of that one, obviously on my channel. Yeah, if you are looking forward to that, well, might be for other content, hit the subscribe button down below. And if you enjoyed the content so far, yeah, maybe support me with a thumbs up, would really help out quite a lot with all the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. Also, yeah, if you have anything that I should cover, right? Maybe you're interested in some TSM games or some Fnatic games. Maybe you want me to cover something of that nature. Yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Don't worry, man, I've got you. I've got you. Just let me know and I'll get to it. Also, just shortly mentioning a bit more advertising here. I'm streaming on Twitch regularly now. Have to look up my Twitter maybe. I post it when I go live. Playing a bit of Hades, a bit of dungeon crawlers. So if you're into that, yeah, come and hang out a bit. Let's chat, let's talk. But I've been talking a bit too much now, so I'm going to sign out. Hope you all have a great day, and yeah, we see each other around. Bye then.